Hey, howdy and welcome back to Bar Talk right here on coming through your headphones. That, Vass, was Your Shine by Kevin Posey featuring Mazbuku and Kirsten. Phenomenal track, which you won't remember when we played it, Vass, because you weren't in that episode. Sorry to burst that bubble, but
that's all right.
Yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago 3 weeks ago now when we played that one, and we absolutely loved it, and we were very, very much honoured to when the producer slash main songwriter on that track, Kevin Posey, got back to us, and we thought, bugger it, he's not Australian, he's not Kiwi, but we thought we just had to get him in for an interview. So here he is, all the way from the US of Big Fat A. It's the man himself. Kevin, how you going?
Posey.
I'm going good. How are you guys doing, man?
I'm bloody good. It's a beautiful day out here. I hear it's prime weather down there in Oklahoma at the moment.
Oh, yeah. Lovely storms and hail and small tornadoes right now.
just more shit to pile on this
on 2020, yeah.
It sounds like a good time of year to be inside.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like lucky we're getting the wave during our winter when the weather's shit. Like, imagine if we had to stay inside during the middle of like a 45-degree summer. That would be fun.
Yeah, that wouldn't be great. Can you imagine just like the government talks a lot about partner care and stuff like that, and making sure that people have mental health breaks and all that kind of stuff, because being inside with people that you're not used to being inside a lot with when you're working full time is really rough. But can you imagine adding 45-degree heat to that situation? That would just be a nightmare.
Yeah, imagine that.
So, Kevin, how are you going? How's things with you at the moment? Because you're obviously, as we said, over in the US, back in your home country. How's things going for you now that you've? Well, first of all, congrats on the album. It's a phenomenal album.
Hey, thank you.
How's the reception been since you've released it?
You know, the reception has been really well. It's been unexpectedly well here. There's been a lot of hometown people really listening to it and giving me feedback and passing it along to their family and friends to listen to. Yeah. And it's just a different feeling, but all of the people that I've connected with on the music level in New Zealand, they have really took it in, and it's just been love. All the reception has been love, and I'm very grateful for that. And I just want to just continue to see where this journey is going. And also thank you guys for listening to the album. And, the feedback that I got from Your Shine from you guys last time you played it was really phenomenal and inspirational to me. So I greatly appreciate that as well.
Yeah. Well,
now, I'm kind of interested. You said your reception was unexpectedly good. In Oklahoma particularly. What makes you say unexpectedly good? Usually the folks in Oklahoma prefer a different kind of music, or was it a different reason?
Well, put it like this. When I first started rapping, the way that I would sing or the way that I would portray my words, and even the things that I was speaking about, was a bunch of nonsense, right? So it was a bunch of songs where it was a lot of profanity, a lot of, disrespect, and a lot of whatever talk, right? A lot of things didn't make sense, but it was just something that felt good in the moment, being a young guy from the States. And then all of a sudden, years pass, and now what I'm speaking about is more on the mature level. It's more open for kids and grandparents to listen to. You get what I'm saying? So for me, it was a gradual change, but it felt necessary for the time. Whereas the stuff I used to put out was more for the fun of the moment. And it was just cool, just to see the different, wow, this is really good. Your music has changed so much. It was unexpected for me, because the creating process for this album was very therapeutic for me to get through all of the ugliness and the realities and suffocation of life that was mentally happening. So for me, it was just like, wow, so this actually touched people. So that was unexpected for me.
Yeah, yeah. And what was the writing period for the album? Because there's some content in there that's very current to my ear, at least. When did you start writing the songs for this album, and when did you start recording it?
So, aside from Your Shine, the actual recording started the second week of October of last year. And I think a week and a half before I actually released, 3 weeks before I actually released the album, that's when I did the last song, which was the bonus record at the end of track number 4, which is Run Through the Fire. That was the last song. But Your Shine, I think that was done around August, September, somewhere up in there.
Yeah, right. So all pretty recent.
Yeah.
And the writing, was that mainly the period immediately before recording, figuring it out there, or was it like quite a while in the making?
Right then and there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you're kind of a more in the, like, do you like to write the week that you're going into the studio for a track, or do you prefer to give it a little bit extra time?
No, so this might sound crazy. So most of the tracks, I would say 98% of the tracks on the record, or just on my part, those
I didn't realize there were 100
day.
tracks on your album, Kevin.
Pardon?
I said you said 98%. I didn't realize there were 100 tracks in total.
Good one.
Hey, that's my bad joke out of the way. Sorry, had to let that out of my system. Keep going.
Joke of the week coming later.
Yes. Stay tuned.
Sorry, you were saying this might sound crazy, but
yeah. So, like, most of the time when I do a song, it comes from just an idea, and once the idea is done, like roughly 2 or 3 hours later, the whole entire song is done, and the mixing and mastering usually happens in the same day. So it's like, I don't know, I can kind of create something in my mind fully, go to the studio setup that I have, create it, record it, write it, mix and master it, just so I can listen to it and then dissect and see what needs to stay and what needs to go.
And so you do all the backing as well. Like, you pick all of the sounds for the drum kits and synths and stuff like that. That's all you, sound design wise.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. It's a really uniform vision, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. I don't know. It's like my favorite pastime, if you will. It's very therapeutic, and I am trained to do some of this stuff. I went to this academy called OSU. It's called ACM at UCO, my bad. And it was a music academy here that I went to for a couple of years in Oklahoma. But prior to that, I've always had a high passion and love for creating music, and just growing up in a house where there was always house parties, and my dad would always freestyle off the top of his head and say, "Come here, son, let me show you how to do this." And, it just turned into the curiosity of it. Like, how do you put songs together? So I just figured it out and fell in love with it.
Man, that sounds a lot like Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. I don't know if you've heard anything about his story starting out, but like the first gig that he went to, I think he was something like, it's like stupid young, between like 10 and 13, I think. And it was the corner, what we would call the corner pub or corner hotel over here. I don't know if there's a different name, but the nanny that they had at the time took him and I think a sibling or a friend, and they just went and saw, it was someone like Lightning Hopkins or someone like prolific like that.
Yeah. And
he was enamored immediately and started pursuing it straight away. And it sounds kind of similar in your case, where from a young age you had someone that you looked up to that showed kind of a creative side, and you loved it so much you went with it as well.
Yeah.
Tell me...
it happens like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, Kevin, tell me a bit about that family upbringing, because you do mention your mother a bit in one of the songs off the album, and I'm just going to... it's... what was the name? Mama's Joint, of course. You do mention her in that song a bit, and also your father having passed at that point. So my condolences about that. But you mentioned he did it.
No, he didn't pass. It was it was more so like it's cool.
Poetic. It was a poetic.
It was
passing.
like Pops was there.
Right.
But mother's love provided the essence. So it's like he was there at the house. You get what I'm saying? Like he was around, he was in and out doing his thing.
Right.
He was working, he was
okay.
You know what I mean?
That sounds a lot less tragic than He's being melodramatic, Kevin. Come on, no. That's cool. Fantastic to hear. But tell me a bit more about that influence from your parents, because you said your dad used to do a bit of freestyling. Did your mum also have an interest in music when you were growing up?
Absolutely. So, yeah, just a quick backstory. So, like, my parents, they're from LA, and they got married young, and my dad had to move to Oklahoma for some reasons, and my mom was in love with him, so she came down, and they got married, whatnot. So they would just get together with people in the neighborhood and have parties, but they would kick me and my sister out to go to grandma's house, which was all right, but you know, we would come back home and the house, our room was trash because, the friends of my parents brought their kids over and destroyed everything. So long story short, while cleaning, they would put on the music from the mixtapes my dad would make at the party while we're cleaning. And just the way that it was mixed together, I'm like, wow, this is incredible. And I'm like 4 years old, but I'm like finding all of these songs fascinating. And, the connection with that is that my mom and dad would put these songs together, but the way that they would put them together were like a perfect blend. So one thing led to another. Like, my dad was the party guy. My mom was the one that said, hey, if you want to go with me this weekend, hop in the car and let's go. So she would play a slew of music. And what I would do, I would sit in the back seat and dissect the songs to figure out what made the song work.
And what was your mom's taste in music?
Gangster rap and old school.
Was this like NWA R&B period?
Yeah, like Dre.
Yeah,
NWA, DJ Quick.
Biggie.
Biggie was more like, my dad loved Biggie. Mom loves Biggie now. But Ice Cube, like all of that, and mixed with Roger and Zapp. You know, a lot of George Clinton. Just a lot of that.
Was she like Mos Def?
I don't think she got into the Mos Def thing until like 1997, 98, somewhere up in there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because they're West Coast. We grew up in pretty much a West Coast household, except for like LL Cool J. My mom loved LL Cool J, of course.
Yeah. So then, big Snoop Dogg fan?
Yeah, Snoop Dogg was definitely played in the house, and my mom to this day, she's like, son, you're going to do a song with Snoop Dogg? I can just feel it. I can feel it. Every time I go to California, she's like, Snoop Dogg is going to get with you and you're going to do... I'm like, well, maybe.
Have you met him?
To get with Snoop Dogg, the problem is that the gate is like 10 pounds of weed or something like that before he'll like speak to you.
Yeah, something
you got to prove that you can go toe to toe before you get to do the record.
Snoop would look at me and be like, cuz, you don't smoke? Nah.
doesn't want to know you. Have you? I don't know if the campaign's over there as well, but over here, he's just recently done a campaign with Benulog, which is a food delivery service, and it's just it's god awful cringy. Like a lot of the stuff he does these days. The chicken wings to the crib. Something. MENULOG. It's just, oh, God. It's just like how much money they did.
Wow.
They put
have
away
you seen, Kevin, have you seen his YouTube channel? Snoop Dogg's YouTube channel?
I watched his GGN network thing.
Yeah. Every time. It's so good. Though I think... I've got a couple of favorites, but the one with Bill Burr comes up as one of my top few. I know Snoop loves comedians in particular, but that episode, they look like they had a lot of fun.
I like the one with Seth Rogen.
Yeah. And he's like, what kind of weed do you smoke? And he's like, Kush. Seth Rogen just goes, yeah, I don't know why I asked that question.
Tell us.
And the damn laugh he has, man.
Yeah.
We're going to pop into a break shortly and play a couple of tracks from the album. We're going to play So Electric and then World From Inside. I was hoping you could tell us a bit about those two songs and I guess how they came about, because you, like Your Shine, you do feature a few Kiwi artists in there. So tell us a bit about those ones.
So let's start with So Electric. So Electric, the feature on that is... the very talented Kadu. She's actually in 2 groups in New Zealand. She's she's in a duo band with another girl that's really talented named Carlo. So it's Kato Carlo. And then she's in a trio band called, give me just 1 second, Technicolor. And they're amazing. I think they have some kind of deal with Sony right now too. So they're really doing some big things out there.
Nice.
So shout out to her. That was a cool collab. She wrote her stuff and sent it back to me within a couple of days. So she actually sent that to me while I was here, and I recorded and created So Electric back in October. That was like the second song that I started for this album. World from Inside. Wow, that one was in the thick of being locked down.
Yeah,
couldn't really go anywhere. Yeah, and even the way I was pounding on the Korg with the synth for that bass line, that was just my pain coming out. And yeah, so World from Inside is featuring the amazing, talented powerhouse Lily Jackson. Yeah, she's on the album like 4 times, and it's just the way that she writes, and her work ethic is crazy, man. And I had actually, I met her at this event that me and Mosbo Q put together called The Loft.
Yep.
And that's where we just have a bunch of musicians come through and do this big jam session for about 3 hours. But we'll get into that. But yeah, that captured the moment with her. She actually, the way that she writes, and I'll say this quickly, she didn't listen to any of the lyrics on the song when she wrote the chorus to the song. She just she told me she felt the context of what it was through the music when she heard it. So she felt the pain and the God in it. You know what I mean? Like the message that needed to get across, she felt it in the music, which was pretty cool. So when she told me that, I was like, yeah, she gets it. So yeah, man, shout out to Lily Jackson and shout out to Kato. They totally smashed both of these songs. And yeah, I can't wait for everyone to hear them, man. Like those are 2 of my favorite songs on the album too.
It's just the whole album. You've got a slew of phenomenal female vocalists on there, and it just gels together really well. So good job on that too.
I appreciate it, man. Good job for that. Like they did amazing, man.
True.
And, yeah, and I do have something to say about that later in the chat, because of what's been going on with that in New Zealand. So I just want to give them a lot of love, man, because they really brought something special to the album that I couldn't do. Literally.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's play the songs right now. So we've got Soul Electric featuring Kato and Robots, and then World from Inside featuring Lily Jackson on Bar Talk. We'll be back right soon.
Welcome back. That was World from Inside by Kevin Posey featuring Lily Jackson. That was one of our favorites that we've picked to play from the album, which you should go and listen to as soon as you can. Came out very recently. Kevin.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for
having
having
a quick
me.
little interview here with Kevin.
Such a good bounce to that one, which I really liked. And then before that, in, of course, So Electric, featuring Kato and Robots, I had a really good sort of sax thing going on, which I really liked, just very smooth. Do you want to tell us a bit? You mentioned you wanted to chat a bit about Robots as well. So, because you said he had some interesting stuff. He had an interesting story or something.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about Robots is that Robots is not a person, right?
Right.
So Robots is like 4 synthesized vocoders that I've created using the Korg XL, the Micro Korg XL, and I created these sounds back in 2014. I created an album that I stuck in the vault and I decided to bring it back out to use it. And one of the next projects that's coming out is going to be Kevin Posey Presents Robots, and it'll have features from myself and other people as well. So, yeah.
Dude, I thought I recognized that vocoder sound because a good friend of Daniel and mine, Eric Parker, has the same unit.
Yeah.
And I've heard him play a bunch of times. I knew it sounded familiar for a reason, but I've also got a question about one of those tracks there. If I can just find it in my notes here. Or is that about
He writes a lot
one?
of notes, so it's all good.
No,
that's
right.
all
The
good.
question is, especially in Your Shine, I felt a bit of Michael Jackson influence in there. I want to ask you if either of your folks was a big Michael Jackson fan, or if that
Both
was a
of
you
them.
thing. Or
No, both of them. And the chorus, that chorus has been lingering, just the melody has been lingering in my mind for like a year, just in and out of thought. And it was a bit more reimagined. The lyrics were reimagined with Mosbo Q. And he asked, he's like, man, we should get Kirsten on this. So I asked her and she was like, yeah, sure. So I had to demo out the chorus. So if you hear it closely in the background, like the very low tone that's me singing, like the harmonies and everything. So I had to just show her how to do it. And she put her own magical touch to it. But she's also a Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson fan as well. She listens to a lot of old school music herself. So it just worked. And a major influence of mine is Pharrell Williams as well. Just how he layers his production with the harmonies and everything. I really wanted to capture that, to pay homage to him with that as well.
Oh man, he's a beast. He's a great inspiration to have.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't realize how long he was actually in the scene for before the album that everyone knows at this point in time of his, which was Girl,
Happy.
I believe it was. With Happy.
Girl album.
Yeah. Everybody listened to that and was just like, whoa, where did this guy come from? But he's actually been in
From
and
the
around
industry,
the scene,
man. From
doing
the
tracks
industry.
for
Dude,
ages.
he's been around for ages. Like,
if
if you heard the
Dre
Rum
era.
Shaker song, if you heard the Rum Shaker song, I mean, that's him writing Teddy Riley's verse. It's Teddy. Ready for that 1-2 checker? That was his first music check.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1992. I mean,
And he's a great influence to have, and I'm a big funk, soul, R&B fan to begin with. So this whole record has kind of hit that spot really well for me. Tell me, was that vibe something that you considered from the beginning? Because you said that the tracks came together very quickly. So if they did, was having this funky R&B vibe to it all the way through a plan of yours from the beginning? Did you factor that into creating each song as you were going, or did it just happen to turn out that way?
No, that's more the funk and groove side of it. That's more of what plays in my mind because I have synesthesia as well. So like there's always color around. That's what I get from the colors that I see. So the beat of Your Shine was actually created years ago when I lived in Long Beach, California, back in 2017, 16, 17. And I only created that just to create the mood of rolling around and just through the streets of Long Beach, just capturing the colors and the vibes. So I made the beat, tucked it away. Mosbo heard it. My external hard drive crashed. And
oh no,
we had already, so we had already had the concept and everything together. But then video talks happened and we got it picked up to do a video. So I'm like, you know what? Instead of because I like to mix everything together to have a perfect blend. So I just recreated the beat from scratch just so it can blend better. And it just felt right to put it on. And that was the last song that I decided to put on the album, believe it or not.
There's actually John Cleese does a talk about, I think it's even a TED talk about creativity and writing in particular, the creative process. Yeah. And he quotes, he wrote the script for something or other, went to sleep, woke up, had lost it. And it was such a good script that he had to write it again from memory because he was pitching it pretty soon. And he knew that it was a good idea. So he goes and writes it again. And he reckons that the script that he came up with writing it a second time from scratch, just from memory, ended up being better than his original. And he does that now as a permanent staple as part of his writing, writes it all down once, gets rid of the script, not like necessarily throwing it away, but just pops it aside and then writes it again. And it comes out even better. So, I'd argue that the song's all the stronger for it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what my musical journey has been. Like every formula that I've had to create was there, but I had to scrap it all and start again because it needed that.
Just need that extra pizzazz, I guess.
Yeah.
Panache.
Panache.
I don't know. Chapaz. I don't know. You can put a Z sound on any sort of phonetic and it'll sound
Yeah. Zazzy.
I wanted to ask actually because, of course, as I think we mentioned before, most of the feature artists on the album are from New Zealand, with one or two exceptions, you said. But and you were largely living in New Zealand when you were putting the album together, obviously. But
that's right.
You're obviously not from there. So what I wanted to know was the reason why you decided to move across to the land of the long white cloud. And I guess, was there a choice in that?
Yeah, it was a choice. And I'll just say one word on that, and then we'll leave it there. I've moved to New Zealand for love. You feel me? Like for love. And and it was one of the best things that I have ever done in my life. Right.
Because were you expecting to meet up with artists and songwriters and producers while you were there?
No, I wasn't. I was not.
It's a happy little accident, as Bob Ross would say.
It was an accident in a hell of a situation, put it like that. So that didn't happen until like a year after living in New Zealand. There's only one artist I met up with, and that was Jess B. We had a sit down and, just like a little lunch thing. We just sat down and kind of shared ideas, and I gave her some instrumentals and stuff. Although we haven't done nothing yet, but we're still like really cool. We talk regularly, because we all know the same circle of people. And, she's a really cool person, but that's the only artist that I knew at the time there. So it took one good friend. I call her my sister because that's what she is to me. She had invited me to see Mosbo Q do his EP release back in March of last year. And that was the end of March. So the very next day after seeing his EP, being at his EP release, I met him. I met another artist that I still rock with today named Mo Muse. And the very next day we worked on a record that became a good single called We Be Young. And that's what it was. And so after that, we just continued to make songs, and it just grew from there. So he opened up a world of musicians to me from that point. And it was a lovely thing. So you mentioned the saxophone that was in So Electric. That was my brother Matt Bizzle out of New Zealand. Shout out to Matt Bizzle.
Nice. And it is some good work. So good work, Matt.
I do love brass in this kind of music very, very much. So the more the merrier, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. We had one session, and he worked on, I'd say, about 90% of the album within the span of 2 hours or less.
Yeah.
Wow. So
a machine
picked it up real quick.
Yeah.
So you mentioned too,
really good.
on the subject of like working on the album, that you mentioned something before the break about you doing the mixing and the mastering in the same day. So did you actually master the album yourself as well as obviously producing it?
Yes.
Okay.
Because
I'm not used to hearing that a lot. Usually it's a case, and Vass will back me up on this, and I'm sure you understand too. A lot of people that self-produce, they won't touch the mastering to just get that fresh set of ears. So was there
the first question before you continue, Daniel, is did you mix it as well as master it?
I did.
Yeah, right. So that's super rare. And Daniel's right. Usually people that write it and perform it won't mix it, and people that mix it won't master it, and certainly people that write it and perform it won't mix it or master it generally. But you've managed to do both and do them both very well. How does one distance themselves from their own piece of work enough to be that objective about the production of it?
Well, you have to be tough on yourself, and you have to be non-biased. You know what I mean? Like, you have to know the difference between what sounds good and what doesn't, what's going to work for the record and what does not, even if that means, of course, taking a break, because after 4 hours of listening to something, your ears play tricks on you, of course.
Yeah.
So it plays a big part in that, and just, you know, stepping away, you know, because in the same day I do get the general mix and master done, and I know to step away to refresh the ears, listen to something else, and have a mental reference track just to balance everything out. And the crazy thing is, each song is pretty much well balanced. Like, there's not a song that's louder than the other one. That one was a freak accident. I didn't plan on doing it, but it just happened that way. But
happy little accident number 2.
That's right. That's right. And years of practice and you know, just making mistakes and learning what those mistakes are. Making sure that you don't repeat those steps.
Yeah. Did you actually have subjects at university, in college, that taught you about mixing while you were learning about music, or is that just a personal endeavor of yours?
In college, they went over the compression and when to use it, when to not use it. Yeah. Just the mechanics of it. We actually had to learn signal flow of SSL mixers and, you know, pretty much everything like that. But it's more so like gaining your own flavoring for your songs and what you would like them to sound like. And just really putting in the work to make sure that it happens the way that you want it to. So I think that plays a big part in it. Just putting your 10,000 hours in it and not getting too comfortable with how it sounds just because it's a song, but really going the extra mile for it and falling in love with your work.
Totally. I'm a big fan of the 10,000 hours thing as well. I really think, especially as musicians, a lot of people have an idea that it's, you know, you're just so talented. Like, you're lucky that you've been given this thing, when in actuality, you've busted your ass to put all of the hours into practicing, and you're just gunning for that 10,000 hours of practice before you can go, okay, now I'm actually getting somewhere.
Yeah, it does take time, man. And that's what I'm saying about just throwing the old away, but still keeping that as a draft to where you're trying to go. It's like when you polish your craft, it's an amazing thing. And it's a beautiful thing too, when you put in the work for it and you can actually sit back and say, wow, you know, it makes you appreciate it more. And it just gives a different sense of humility as well.
Nice. We'll be actually playing one more of the album tracks in a very short moment. But before we do, Kevin, want to give us a quick rundown of your social medias and where we can listen to the album, where we can find you essentially, just to keep in touch and see what you're up to in the coming months and that.
Okay. Well, yeah, you can find me on Instagram at official_Kevin Posey. On Facebook, it's the same, official_Kevin Posey. On Twitter, at Kevin Posey. And for any artists that are looking for instrumentals, you can visit my website, kevinposey.com.
Nice. And
the album is obviously on Apple Music, Spotify, all that.
All of it. Amazon, Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, YouTube as well.
Tidal, guys. If you don't have Tidal yet,
I know you're a big
Spotify
fan.
For Tidal, please.
How much money are they paying us again, Vass?
Tidal pays us jack shit, but they do pay musicians a lot more fairly than Spotify does. More than 5 cents a stream, at least.
I don't care how much they're paying artists. I care how much they're paying me. So,
they also have a student discount and a military vet discount.
So that's why you like it. Anyway, go and check out the album because, again, it's a phenomenal piece of work and it's awesome to hear how much effort you did put into it yourself and how much the production stage and the processing stage that you did have that directing control over to get it to where it is. So you can tell it is really a true vision as far as an album's concerned. So I want to say congratulations again, and again, thoroughly enjoyed it. Go and check out the whole album. Check out the music video for Your Shine as well. We didn't mention the music video, but we'll definitely share it this week if we haven't already, because it is a great piece of artwork too, visual artwork too.
Yeah, but thank you guys so much for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for chatting with us, mate.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time of your busy evening.
Thanks for weathering the storm.
Yes.
Hey, true. See.
Yeah, had a few technical quote-unquote difficulties earlier, but we got through it. We're good.
Technically, they were organic difficulties.
Yeah.
See, and the album talks about that as well too. It's true facts, man.
Tell us a bit about the title track "Breathe," which is what we're going to go out on the break, because it features a couple more artists as well. Because it is also the title track from the album too.
Yeah, man. So "Breathe" is it's one of the tracks that holds a bit of vulnerability, a lot of truth, a lot of prep talk to myself. You know, when you go through life and you feel like you just exist and you're not really breathing through it, you know, because, you know, sometimes we get lazy as creatives or just lazy as people and get comfortable. And it's more so like when you feel that way, you need to actually look at yourself and say, am I just existing, or am I just, what am I doing? You know, and sometimes that could put a lot of pressure on one person. But, you know, on the hook, when it's like running through my mind, we just got to find a way. There's a lot of things that run through your mind, but you have to just give yourself a moment to breathe. That's what keeps us going. That's what keeps the blood flowing. And, you know, just to stand for something, you know, when you live on your life, it's more of an eye opener, and it puts everything else together in the song, in the whole album. And it's just a reminder to, like you're shine, love the skin that you're in, but what are you doing inside of that skin? Are you dwelling on something? Are you actually living and looking forward in a positive fashion? So, you know, Jasmine Lee and Leah Lamatoa, they captured that chorus perfectly. And it just captures that feeling of breathing, vulnerability, and life. So that's pretty much what Breathe is about. And, you know, it's a deeper context than that, you know, and to really sum it up, life is complex, but we all got to deal with it. So remember to breathe.
Nice. Wise words. Wise words. Well, let's play it. Kevin, want to take us out to the break? What are we listening to? What show are we on?
Yeah, we are on Bar Talk. And we are listening to Kevin Posey, Breathe, featuring Jasmine Lee and Leah Lamatoa.
AustralianMusiciansRadio.com